Hello YouTubers, guess what I bought on Amazon? I bought a 22-inch LED light bar, and the reason why I bought this is because I grew up in the 80s and I've been watching Knight Rider, so I'm going to have this scanner that's going to go back and forth with blue lights instead of a red light. You're going to see what I'm talking about. Yeah, it looks pretty cool. The website advertises that if you install this, you're gonna get really smoking hot babes in your lives, and you know, advertising doesn't lie. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you what it's gonna look like when I power up to the battery. Okay, it's gonna come with all these wires. You're not gonna need any of these wires. You're just gonna need power and ground. You're gonna need power and ground right here. You're going to need the remote to set your lights on the pattern that you want and on the color that you want. Okay, it doesn't necessarily have to be blue. Okay, if you're living in Crip or blood territory, you can switch it to red just so you don't get shot. Okay, so let me take it to the car and hook it up for you guys. Okay guys, this is what it's going to look like. Okay, I just set it on top of my radiator. I'm not going to install it on my radiator. That'd be just silly. I'll show you where I'm going to install it, but I just wanted to hook it up to the battery to show you what I'm talking about. Okay, all it does is work off power and ground. You got red for power and black for ground, but I'm going to hook it up to my ignition in order for this to work when I'm out of the car. So it's going to go to a continuous power, and the black one is going to go to some type of ignition where if if I turn on the car, this black wire will turn positive, which will shut off the scanner. But when I turn off the car, this will turn back to ground and it will light up my scanner, and that's what I want. And don't worry about this being hooked up all night long to your ground, because it's working off LED. LED takes really low consumption. Okay, so it looks like this. Okay, let me show you right there. Oops, the black wire came off. Let me hook it up real quick here. Let me show you what I'm talking about, guys. Okay, and where's that remote? Let's go grab that remote real quick and check this out. Okay, so check this out. So let's look at let's look at the C button right here. C will change the pattern of your lights. There you go. It'll change the pattern of your lights. Let's go through them all. Okay, that's your Cyclops looking one. And here's my Knight Rider scanner. This is the one that I want. Let's look at D. Okay, D actually turns it on and off. Let's look at B. B changes the color. Look at that. Green, turquoise, white, red. See that? Green, and back to blue. Okay, so you have all these options. And there is a memory, guys. So if I leave it in this order and I go ahead and disconnect the battery, if I disconnect it and if I put it back to ground, it's going to go back to the exact same pattern that I left it at. So you don't have to worry about fiddling with your remote control every single time you get out of your car or back into your car. Okay, so where am I going to install it? I'm going to install it on my front grill. But because your grill's got a whole bunch of these inserts right here, these little blocks right here, that's going to cover your LED. So I'm going to have to find a certain slot where it has the most openings, and I'm going to find a way to install them right there. So I think the best area to install this would most likely be right here at this insert right here, because this one right here has this solid triangle that's going to cover my lights. So I'm going to go below it right here, and I'm going to install it right here behind the grill. Okay, so it requires me taking off my bumper. You already seen me taking off my bumper a couple of times already. I'm not going to show you that portion, but I will show you how to install the light. So before you take off your grill or bumper, you're going to want to get some kind of flashy red tape to mark the line where you're going to want your LED bulbs right there. So I'm going to go ahead and mark it, just so when I do take off the grill, it gives me some kind of reference on where that line is going to be. Okay, and mark more than one spot, because these tapes do fall off when you take off your bumper and you don't want to lose your spot there. Okay, so that is the line of sight that I want my scanner to lay on. Okay, I went ahead and dropped my grill. There's my car right there. I dropped my grill, and you have this plate right here that's attached to your bumper, so you can't take this piece off. My LED scanner is going to go in the front of this entire bracket right here. So the only way to do that is I got to take off my grill. To take off my grill, same thing. I'm going to have to go along these Phillips screws right here, along the entire peripheral of the Phillips screws, and just start removing them. Once I remove them, I can take my grill right off. Okay, now for the fun part, I took off the screws. Now I'm going to snap my grill right off. It's got all these tabs along the border right here that I'm going to have to disengage. Okay, just like that. It's going to come right out. Just push on the tabs along the peripheral and it should pop right out. There you go. And there's where my lights are going to be, guys. Okay, let's put the grill aside and let's work on the lights. Set this grill aside. I know where my light scanner is going to be, and it's going to be right here. I'm going to do my best to try to center it. The control box and all the wires are going to be on the driver's side because I want the shortest length of wires as much as possible to the battery. And it's just going to go right here. Okay. Well, what I want to do first is I want to waterproof this thing, guys. I think that the company did a really good job at plastic coating this whole entire LED assembly right here. But, you know, there's holes and gaps in there that I'm not really sure of, and I don't feel like taking off my bumper one more time. You see this? Water could get in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some 3M heavy-duty tape. I'm going to go ahead and tape the sides. I want to tape the sides and close this up for good. I don't want any water getting in there because it's going to be at the front of my grill. And, you know, at the front of your grill, that's where all the harsh environments are at. You know, you're going to be running in rain, sleet, and snow. You want nothing getting in here. You want to tape this up as much as possible. Don't worry, it doesn't have to look good, guys, because it's going to be behind your grill. Nobody's going to go up to your car and stare at it for 10 minutes and give you a grade, a pass or fail on whether you did a good job or not. The only person that knows this is you. So you do your type of quality. You don't have to go as fast as I am going. I'm only doing this because I'm on a tight time frame, and I kind of know what I'm doing already, so I'm good. You don't have to do this, guys. This is just a safety precaution for me. Okay, I actually like to be extra careful. You know, normally when I finish my videos, you don't see this part, but I actually go back and double check everything. Okay, use clear tape. See, the LED lights do go through. This is good right here. I did the other side, okay, which is good. And how am I going to attach this? I'm probably going to use zip tie, okay? So let's go ahead and bring it to the car. Okay, next, now we are going to position where we want our scanner. I want it exactly in the middle. So when I measured from one LED to the next LED, I get about 20 inches. So I put a piece of tape on where my 10-inch mark is going to be, and that's going to be my center. Okay, exactly my center, and I'm going to attach it to where the center is. Don't measure the whole entire LED bar because there's no light at the end right here. You got to measure at this LED all the way to that LED, okay? Once you get the center of this scanner, you're going to want to go to your car, and where your line of sight is, just remember where your line of sight is because you're going to have to remove this tape. What I did was measure from one end of this grill to the other end of that grill, right? And I found my center point. My center point is going to be about right here. Okay, you can also eyeball it. You got these two little pockets right here, and you could just measure from the center between these two pockets right here, and it'd be right here. So what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to take this and zip tie it along my sight right there, along that line right there. I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. Okay, I already went ahead and centered everything. I removed all of my orange tape off of here, and I kept the middle one. I'm going to remove the middle tape right now and this tape right here, and I zip tied my bars and made sure it's centered. Once I got everything centered, I'm going to go ahead and put a whole bunch of zip ties on here to hold it in place. And if you notice, I am going to zip tie in between the LEDs so they don't cover up the lights when I do tighten them. They're not tight right now, okay? This is just to hold the light bars in place for me to do all my prep work right now. This is my finished zip tie work. Okay, I found out that these bars were really long and my zip ties are only about maybe, I'm going to say 8 inches. So I had to double up on the zip ties. You know how to double up on the zip ties, right? It's not that hard to do. So all you have to do is just take one and you grab the other one and you just slip it in. And now you have you have a double up zip tie, okay? And what I like to do is when I attach these zip ties, you know, when you go by hand, it's not normally as tight. You would want to get a pair of pliers and pull on them some more until they're really tight. Luckily, this scanner is really flexible and it bends with the contour of my front bracket right here. And as you can totally tell, it's completely centered. I put all the zip ties between the LEDs not to cover up the lights, okay? I don't want to cover up the lights. I make sure it's a tight fit. It's not going to go anywhere. One more double check. I want to make sure that the end of this scanner is at this ledge because that's originally where I taped it. And the other end is going to be right at the edge too. If not, you're going to want to readjust your scanner because you don't want to put this whole entire bumper back on and find out your whole entire Knight Rider light is scanning crooked. Okay, if you're as picky as I am, you're going to want it a complete straight line. So go ahead and readjust everything, make sure everything is straight. Good thing is you have this ledge to use as a point of reference, okay? So right now I'm going to go ahead and cut off all my excess zip ties once I already tightened it. I already tightened it off camera, guys. I didn't want to bore you guys with additional video feed, and you're just going to sit there and pick your nose watching me put on zip ties all day long. That's not a good thing, okay? And that's it for the zip ties. Okay, next, now we're going to take our control box and we're going to flip it on top of this cross beam, okay? Not under, on top, because you're going to route it upwards. You're going to put it on top, okay? Make sure all the wires are out of the way. Make your last minute checks, okay? I'm going to lay my grill on the floor and I'm going to lay my bumper onto my grill and make sure all the slots fit. And double check on my control box. Make sure you don't damage your control box. It's gonna wander away. So check this out. Grab this. Make note of your control box. Look at it. Take your grill and line up your slots. Start to line up your slots where they're supposed to be. Okay. There you go. Line them up where they're supposed to be. Go ahead and lock in everything. Looks good. Actually, it looks wonderful. After your grill's locked in, you can go ahead and put all your Phillips screws back into your grill and lock your grill onto your bumper. Okay, after you locked and screwed in your grill, the reason why I didn't show you how to screw your grill back on and how to take it off, because there's a whole entire different video on that one, and this video is not about how to install your grill. This one's about the LED scanner. Okay, once I installed all my screws, I'm going to take my ribbon, my wire ribbon right here. I'm going to route it up here on top of this cross beam, okay? The one where it has these 4 pockets. These 4 pockets are going to be the female connectors of this right here, of your 4 brackets right here. These inserts, these male inserts are going to go into those 4 pockets. So you don't want this one to go drop beneath here. You're gonna smash your wires. You want it on top, okay? Because now we're gonna bring your bumper back on here and snap it in. Once you snap it in, you're gonna want to take this and drop it over, just so you could get the wires out of the way, okay? Alright guys, I temporarily put my bumper up and I wanted to show you something, okay? There are little latches that's gonna help you hold the bumper in place, especially right here. This one right here, if you push it forward, it's going to snap over that ring. There. Once it snaps, your bumper ain't going to go anywhere. It's not going to drop on your pretty toes. Okay, over here. There you go. It snaps into place. Now you can leave it alone and check everything without having to worry your bumper is going to fall down. Okay, so let's do some last minute checks. Remember the area that I wanted my lights to be? Right there. It shows right through. Okay, with the most visibility. And that's where you want it. So I'm going to go ahead and put my bumper together right now. Next, we're going to take our control box. We routed all the way up here from the grill. And what I did was I zip tied the rest of the wires, okay? And I just left the red and the black wire loose. So zip tie the rest of the wire. Make sure you have a clean look, okay? And the next thing is we're going to find a mounting spot for this. So the best mounting spot that I did find was, see, here's my driver's side headlight, and on the side of the headlight you have this big flat planar structure right here that I can Velcro on the side of. A lot of people could take a something as simple as a Ziploc bag, like a sandwich bag, and you could put your control module in there and zip tie it up if you're afraid of the elements. If you're in an area that has a lot of rain and snow, you can go ahead and do that. My area, it's sunny 500 days out of the year, so I don't need one of those. So what I'm going to do right now is I took alcohol and I cleaned the whole entire side of this headlamp, and that's where I'm going to stick it. Am I going to stick it permanent? No, I'm not. I went out and bought some 3M Velcro that I'm going to go ahead and stick on there. Okay, where's that other one? Here it is. 2 sides to 3M Velcro. Okay, I'm going to stick one side to the control box. And it's a perfect fit too, the square. Pretty dead on. Right there. And the other side I'm going to go ahead and stick to where I want it, which is on the side of this headlight. I'm going to try to position it how I'm going to want it. Probably most likely like this. Okay, so I'm going to make it go lengthwise like this. I'm going to stick it on here. You don't have to be exact, guys. Okay. Now the next step is we're going to have to route our control box. See this control box? We're going to have to route it past this thing. I don't want to take this thing off. What I can do is I can just unplug this and just route the wires inside this right here, underneath here, and then replug it back up here and stick it on there. Okay, and that's what I'm going to do, guys. I'll show you in a minute. Okay, here is my install of the control box. If you look down right there, oops, right here, there it is. I routed the wires going towards my battery. You see that? So, and the rest of the ribbon cable is down here. Nice fit and snug. It's not going anywhere. It's routed underneath here onto the side of my driver's side headlamp assembly. And the only thing that's sticking out is red and black. So let's go ahead and find out where these red and black goes. All right. Okay, next, I opened up my fuse box right here. I had a cover right here, just like this. Fuse box. There's a tab in the back right here that releases the whole cover. I removed it, and now I'm looking for my power, which I'm going to use off my battery, and I'm going to look for some type of ignition where when I turn on the car it's going to turn power, and when I turn off the car it's going to show ground. And you're going to need a test light for that, but I'm going to show you which fuse I'm going to use, okay, because I already tested it. But we're going to find out that the wires that came from the control box is not fused. I'm going to go ahead and fuse them, okay? You can go out to the store, Radio Shack, if they're still in business or whatever, and you can buy like fuses or one that already has a fuse in line for you. So I got an additional black and red wire, and I cut about maybe, I'm going to say a foot off so I can extend it. And the way I'm going to extend it, like I've shown you in other videos, is I got a whole box of connectors that I'm going to be using, and I'm going to connect this end to the control box. So let's go ahead and put on these barrel connectors and crimp them, okay, because I'm going to extend the wires. The wires aren't long enough. And the other one I'm going to extend only because it has a fuse attached to it. You always want to fuse anything that's running to power, guys, okay? So if it's going to run to the battery, I'm going to fuse it. You never know when something might, you know, you get into you rear end somebody and smash these wires and catch your car on fire, and you don't want that. So let's go ahead and go back to the car, and I'm going to show you. Okay, we're back at the car. We are going to extend the wires with the fuse line. Okay, so we're going to take the red line right here. We're going to chop it. We're going to cut it off. We're going to slice into it, take the shielding off. When we take the shielding off, we are going to add the extension, the red extension right here. When you add the red extension on, you're going to go ahead and crimp it. And this is how you extend the wires, folks. Okay, so this part is going to go to the battery itself. And how am I going to attach this to the battery? Good thing, inside my kit it comes with a little fork connector. See this fork connector? I can just slide right in here if I loosen this nut up, this 12mm nut. Okay, so let's go ahead and cut this off right here, the other end of the fuse line. Okay, I'm going to take the shielding off. I'm going to add the fork connector so it can attach to my battery. I am going to loosen up my battery right now with the 12mm. I'm going to stick the fork underneath this nut. Okay, and I'm going to re-tighten it. I'm going to want to try to steer it away from this hose. Okay, so let's go ahead and tighten it. There, it's tight. Okay, don't worry about the messy job right now, guys. All we're doing is doing the connection. We can clean it up a little bit later on. Okay, and the other end, we are going to run it to the fuse box. So what we want to do is we're going to extend it. Remember, we already extended it. We already got it an extension, and we already put a butt connector onto it. So let's go ahead and take that, and we'll attach it to our control module wires right there. Okay. Okay, so now we have two wires, one going to power and the other one is going to go to something that's going to switch on our scanner. Okay, so right now I'm going to clean up the wires with some 3M electrical tape. So I got some 3M electrical tape right here. You guys can't go wrong with 3M electrical tape. There's also black looming that you guys could use, you know, if you know. You could use either or. I've always used 3M electrical tape, if you guys notice on my other videos. I'm going to tape the wires together, okay? There's a reason why I tape the wires together, because I like a clean look. I don't want wires going all over the place, and I'll try to minimize all my routings as much as possible. I want my car to look clean, okay? And that's how I like my women. No diseases. So on the other end, I have a butt connector right here too. I'd like to add some 3M electrical tape to that. I want it all hidden. I don't want this butt connector shown, and it also helps me keep this butt connector onto the wire so it doesn't disconnect one day and catch some kind of shortage. Okay, so we're done with that part. We're going to run this end right here, this end, to the fuse box. Okay, your next step, you're going to want to attach a test light to your battery, guys. If you guys don't have one of these, you're going to need to get one, because these are a lot, this is very useful for a lot of your electrical work. Okay, so remember how I attached my fused red line to my positive? If I touch this, my test light's going to turn red. Now, at night, while my engine is off, I'm going to have to look for a fuse that's going to turn green, which is ground, for my scanner to work when my engine is off. So I need power and ground when my engine is off in order for my scanner to work. Did you guys get that? Okay, it's very simple. It's very simple, okay, to remember. You want your scanner to work when you're out of the car. So to look for power and ground, you got your power from the battery. Now you're looking for ground. And I already located, because all of these turn power, most of them, 80% of them turn power when your engine is on. And then when you shut off your engine, only some of them turn off and they turn green, which is ground. And I did find two of them. This one right here and this one right here. They're both ground. Okay, so if I attach my black wire to either of those fuses, my scanner should turn on. Okay, when I start my car, my scanner should turn off, because these two fuses will turn red when my car is on. Okay, and there's another trick, guys. When you take your fuse out, only one side is going to have juice. Okay, so if I take my fuse out, you notice how if I touch this side, it's green. If I touch the other side of the fuse, it's also green. But only one side is going to have juice if I take this fuse out. That's how a fuse works, because once your fuse pops, there is no longer that bridge that connects these two. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to connect this ground wire to the side of the fuse that does not have juice. Okay, this is just to protect your car in case, you know, you are driving and there's power running through here. Okay, so once this fuse pops, nothing is going to be running through this line. Okay, so let's go ahead and take off the fuse and find out which side has juice and which side doesn't, and that's the side that we're going to attach. Okay guys, I took my fuse remover tool right here. Okay, you could take it out of its slot and you could grab your fuse and remove it. Okay, I'm going to put it back, and here's my fuse right here. Okay, my fuse has a little channel in it. If it pops, no juice is going to flow through there. So I'm going to go ahead and test which side has juice, which side doesn't. I'm going to test the side that's closer to the driver. Nothing. I'm going to choose the side that's going to be closest to me. There, it lights up green. So the side of the fuse that has juice is going to be towards me. So I'm going to want to wrap this wire along the teeth of the fuse on the side that's closest to the driver. So what I'm doing right now is I'm taking my black ground wire and I'm going to go look inside the slot, and I'm going to stick this on the side. I'm going to stick this wire on the side where the driver's side is, and I'm going to leave it lying down. Okay, the wire is going in there. You see that? What I'm going to do next is I'm going to go ahead and take my fuse. I'm going to go ahead and take my fuse and I'm going to shove it in there. I'm going to take this fuse while the wire is on the driver's side. I'm going to take this, I'm going to cram it in there so the wire gets stuck inside that slot that's closest to the driver's side. And that's what it's going to look like right there. The wire is crammed inside the fuse. I used the fuse and I crammed it in there with the wire on the driver's side. Okay, I'm going to clean up the wires in a little bit, but I want to check out the car and see, make sure it's working. That scanner is working. So let's go take a look at the front of the car while my engine is off. There it is, guys. Pretty badass, huh? I'll probably do a walk around with all my blue lights probably in a little bit. Here you go. That's what it looks like at night. Hope you enjoyed this video, guys.